Celebrity Chef Graham Elliot is bringing his Michelin stars to Midland with the opening of Cowboy Prime. Chef Elliot is a critically acclaimed chef, restaurateur, and television personality. At age 27, Chef Elliot became the youngest four-star chef to be named in any major U.S. city and was named one of Food and Wine magazine's best new chefs in 2004. In 2008 in Chicago, he opened his restaurant, Graham Elliot, which went on to become one of only 15 restaurants in the U.S. to be awarded 2 Michelin stars. His accolades include multiple James Beard Foundation nominations, as well as being named one of Crain's 40 Under 40 alongside President Obama and Oprah Winfrey. Chef Elliot served for 10 seasons as co-host and judge for Fox's MasterChef and MasterChef Junior. He has appeared on Bravo's Top Chef and Top Chef Masters, the Food Network's Iron Chef America, and PBS's The Great American Recipe, the second season of which is coming this summer. He has worked in kitchens of some of America's top restaurants, including the French Laundry. A Michelin star for a chef is like an Oscar for an actor or a Grammy for a singer, the highest honor bestowed. Chef Elliot is not in Midland for long, but is here to launch Cowboy Prime, to develop its menu and set standards for preparations. We recently sat down with the chef to talk about his storied career. During our time together, he talks about how Texans' tastes differ from those of other regions, how he develops recipes, how he plates. He gives advice for home cooks and talks about the evolution of television cooking shows, on many of which he has appeared, including one on Basin PBS. He has something to say about Midland water, and he even ventures from the kitchen into politics. After our talk, Chef Elliot invites us into his kitchen, where we watch the master at work. Chef, I thank you so much for sitting down with us. And you have 2 Michelin stars, and for the uninitiated, that's like having an Oscar or an Olympic gold medal. So talk to us about Michelin stars and what it takes to get one.
Yeah, so what's amazing is the Michelin Guide. You know, it's been around 100 years and kind of showcases what places are worth hitting if you're driving by, or which ones are like you should plan your trip around hitting these places. And so when I received our first one, it was incredible. Eventually got our second. We were one of 15 restaurants at the time in the country to have that. So,
amazing.
You know, once you receive it, then you got to kind of upkeep it. You know, every year you're getting judged again. So it keeps you on your toes. And I always feel that you don't want to just be driven by getting these awards or accolades, but it is nice to have that acknowledgement of what you do, you know.
So you're bringing your Michelin stars to Midland. Tell me what brought you here.
Yeah, so I partnered with Philippe Armenta, and now we have Far Out Hospitality Group. We're opening new restaurants, and this was our first one. So next door, he's actually a partner owner of Cork and Pig. And so we decided, okay, you've got this amazing town, this great space. What do we want to do? And it's like our first white tablecloth restaurant. So, you know, to come out to Midland and provide a new restaurant that no one else is really doing, but discussing and talking to all the locals is something that everyone wanted and wished was here. So it's just been a remarkable, you know, opening. We're busier than we ever thought we would be, and people seem to really like what we do.
Well, you used the word fine dining. What does that mean?
I think fine dining, it's more refined dining, if you will. You know, it's the level of service, the attention to detail, the quality of ingredients. You know, we're getting in a $5,000 piece of beef from Japan that's, you know, we're charging $120 for 4 ounces, but it's not like, you know, it's an egregious amount. It's literally, this is what it costs us and this is what we're doing. We want to educate and show people what it is, and to have, you know, 20 people a night be like, I want to try that. That was the best beef I've had in my life. And then be able to say, well, come look over here. This is where we get the meat. This is what we do. You know, that to me is fine dining. It's not $1,000 a person, French restaurant, you know, where it's super stuffy. We're playing loud rock music, country, you know, it's wear whatever you want, come in, have a good time. But the food, service, ambiance, et cetera, are just much different. I don't think there's any place in 100 miles that has this.
Well, talk to me about choosing Midland.
Yeah, so Midland, obviously, there's a great clientele and people that are international coming here, people that are born and raised here, like yourself, and then a lot of income, and they're wanting this experience. So to look at a map and say, we'd love to eventually maybe do something in Austin or over here in Houston. You look at Midland, you realize it's an untapped market. There's a bunch of fast food places. There's a couple, these type of restaurants, but there's not a lot of chef-driven, independent places. And so for us to be able to come in and do it, I think we're going to hopefully inspire other places to do something similar, right? Or it's kind of like if Michael Jordan's on the basketball court, everyone plays better around him, It's like, not like I'm saying that we're the example, but if I had a restaurant down the street or anywhere else, or I was a chef, I'd be like, dang, I had no idea that there were such foodies here, and in Midland, people are willing to pay that, and they're full every night saying, we don't have anything like this, and we've always wanted a place like this. So now, we're gonna up our game. So I think you'll see that level rise.
Well, I know you have traveled all over the world and have been in every state in the United States. Can you talk about the tastes of Texas now that you've been here for a while?
Yeah, every state, if you will, or region does the best with what they have. Anywhere around the world, Vietnam to France, etc. I always say people don't wake up saying they want to eat snails or frog legs, but that's what you have.
Yeah.
So when you look at Texas, with the fact that you're so far south as far as the geography, and then the whole fact that this was all Mexico not too long ago.
Right.
So to have the German influence come in as well, all of that history goes into what Texas is with its food, but also I think the approach, like the tough, independent spirit. I think that carries over into the food. It's not just flavors like it's chilies and corn and a lot of beef, and it's how do you take all that influence and put it into something new and make it its own. And I think Texas does that really well.
Well, I want to talk about how you're doing that, because one of the things that I know you like to do is develop recipes. So I want you to talk about generally how you develop recipes, and then specifically how you developed recipes for Midland.
Yeah. So with recipes, it's almost perverse to where I'm driving down the street and see the red light turn green, and I'm like, oh, green, like asparagus and broccolini and a bunch of herb. What can we do? I'm always looking at stuff and getting inspired, whether it's through nature or what the weather is, and, that kind of stuff. So I also love the collegial approach, where in the kitchen I have someone from Cuba, Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, California, Baltimore. All of us are in that kitchen, and we each only know what we know, but literally bring to the plate something new. So I'm doing a potato bisque, and then someone will say, yeah, but like in Mexico, we can do this. We grind the corn this way, and we can do like a corn soup. Oh, that sounds awesome. What should we serve with that? And someone will say, well, we used to do grilled shrimp and corn. It's like, oh, then maybe we marinate the shrimp and do it this way in the corn soup. And so everyone's got a hand in what we do. And I think that in Midland, knowing that it really is meat focused, right? I mean, it's not a stereotype. It's like at lunch we sold like 100 ribeyes. It's the real deal. So, okay, what can we do to make those more unique? Do we do a Cabernet reduction? Do we do a smoked hollandaise? Or we smoke the butter? Do we, do this kind of cool cilantro chimichurri so it's a little more, Texy influence? So I think that's what we get to do here. We kind of start with this idea and then work backwards and tweaking the dishes.
Well, now I want to talk about your cookbook, and it's called Cooking Like a Master Chef. And you say in your cookbook, or at least in the sales pitch that Amazon gives, that you want everyone to cook, that you want everyone to push up their sleeves and get some good food on the table. You say you want to show home cooks the basics of cooking and combining flavors, and then urge them to break the rules and put their own spin on great meals. So talk about your approach to your cookbook.
Yeah, I mean, not even just the cookbook, but I always say it's not black and white, it's gray area, everything, right? If today it's beef tartare, tomorrow it's a burger, next day it's carpaccio. None of those are better or worse than any other, right? It's a different iteration, it's a style. A carrot can be pickled, roasted, grilled in a salad, carrot juice, carrot cake. It's all an expression of the carrot. So what I do in the cookbook is say, this is what I do. this is the dish that I would make, but you should be able to deconstruct it and then put it together how you want. Like if it's not broken, break it. Be like, I love stroganoff, but instead of egg noodles and mushroom soup and ground beef, I'm going to do a short rib and gnocchi and truffle puree. Right? Like, how do you keep tweaking and doing new things? And that's what I want people to be able to do.
With your I love that. I love that. Okay, one of the things that you have been recognized for is your innovative plating. I was watching an episode of, I think, one of the Canadian shows that you were on, where they brought out this giant box and they took the top off the box, and there you were.
Yes.
Lying in the box.
Yes.
It was quite impressive. But anyway, in the introduction, they talked about how that you're sort of famous for your plating. So I want you to talk about plating and why you think it's important.
You know, putting ingredients together, leading the kitchen, doing recipes, cooking in the season, using local stuff. All of those are the foundation for being a chef, or should be. And when you look at the dish itself, you know, the way that I am playing music or anything, it's like spontaneous and how you feel. So if I'm plating this right here, I'm much happier. Instead of a French restaurant where it says, all right, that's the meat, and then I want one piece of asparagus here with one dot of sauce there. Like, if you do that all night, like, go work at the Ford factory and just build a car. Like, I want someone to say, let's cut the steak this way and then put like asparagus all over and the sauce here, because you want it to look like you're walking in the woods and stumbled on it. Like, it's natural, it's beautiful. I don't like things placed and perfect. I think that looks not just fussy, but it's like art. You want to look at something natural and gorgeous as opposed to just Mondrian, 90-degree angles. And
so first you eat with your eyes.
yeah, I think you eat with your eyes and your heart, right? You look at something, you're like, that looks so cool. Like, how'd they do that,
Your career has been so varied. You have, you told me you started out washing dishes.
I did.
And then you got into the restaurant business and were extremely successful there with your Michelin stars and your accolades with Food and Wine magazine and all of your television appearances and shows, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in just a minute. But you are now entering sort of a different endeavor in which you are a partner in a restaurant group.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Philippe Armenta is one of the most successful chef restaurateurs in Texas. Has, 14 places. We just opened this one. We're opening new ones. So I had an opportunity to partner with him in this group, Far Out Hospitality. And we're going to be opening in the next 9 months another Cowboy Prime in the Stockyards in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
La Margot, which is going to be our French bistro, as well as F1 Smokehouse, which is going to be like our barbecue joint. And all of these are happening really quickly. And to be able to come in, create a menu, help train, get everyone on the same page from menus to playlist to uniform, etc., creating that vision and idea, and then being able to go do the new one. It's like music, where you get to have a lot of different bands that you're a part of as opposed to just this one thing. So it's a dream come true. And we have an amazing team that in the last 6 months have moved from all different corners of the country to live in Texas. Like, we're all there full time doing these new places.
Well, welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
glad y'all are here.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to talk about television cooking shows.
Yeah.
James Beard back in the 40s, and of course Julia Childs in the 60s.
Right.
But then in the 90s, the Food Network.
Yes.
And now there are so many millions of people
Changed everything.
that watch food shows.
Yeah.
And so do you think it's made us better cooks or better eaters or just voyeurs?
No, it's an interesting question, but I do feel that it inspires everyone. Food's something that we all do, we all eat. Hopefully you have some memories of being around the kitchen table or, talking to your parents or family. But I love that people still have an opportunity to watch some shows where they can really learn. This is where it's from. We're talking to the locals. We're going to the market and cooking together. That's more rewarding for me as a viewer than you have 10 minutes left to cook with one hand behind your back and oh my gosh, they stole your knife. Like, I understand it's fun. That's where it's a little more just voyeur, armchair chef. I would have put the beef on top of the same, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I would have won. But
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
I'll do the show next year.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but I love being able to really see something and learn from it.
Okay, now you're one of the judges on a PBS show,
Yes.
cooking show, and since we're PBS, I want to
Yeah,
talk a
of
little bit
course.
about that. It's called The Great American Recipe, and it's
Yes.
returning for its second season, I believe, this summer.
Yes.
That's about home cooks, is it not?
It is.
Tell us about that show.
Yeah, so Great American Recipe, you have people from different corners of the U.S. coming and telling their story through food. So you have somebody that's got a Vietnamese background, someone that's from the South, someone that's from, Rhode Island, New England, and they all do their own style. And instead of saying, this is the dish you have to make, you
Go
have
for
1
it.
hour, it's more, we want you to do a dish based on, your grandparents and what they brought to the new country and what, and
I
someone
love
will make
that.
the best tomato sauce in the world. Someone
I
else
love
will
that.
make a Greek, grilled meat kebab dish that their dad used to do. So
So that's
You're-
where the learning comes in.
exactly. And then I can come in and I'm not going to be the judge that says, your Indian curry, I would have added more spice because they're going to be like, my mom didn't.
Yeah.
How long did you live
Yeah.
in India? So you try to, as a chef, say, technique-wise, I think if you do this, it'll make it silkier, a better texture.
Uh-huh.
If potatoes are undercooked, I know that.
That's a
right?
problem,
They should
yeah.
know- yeah. But on the flip side, you're trying things and you really are wanting to know that story. So even if the food doesn't look as beautiful as this one, the fact that they're telling you the 100 reasons why they make this and how important it is, that's what.
There are points for
Yeah,
that.
exactly, 1,000%. Sell us the idea of what you're doing.
So you were here for a while to open this beautiful restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you help a new restaurant maintain its standards after you are gone.
So it's interesting because of Zoom, Instagram, social media, texting, FaceTime, etc. I can almost be here in real time and check things. I can see if somebody tonight came in and posted a picture of a steak and it wasn't exactly what I am hoping for. But those are like where you kind of are constantly not playing catch up, but looking at things in
Right,
a different way.
right.
But you create a vision and philosophy and sell that to the team to where they're not only upholding the standard, they're able to elevate and be like, yeah, Chef Graham, you showed us how to do this, but we were thinking the other day, what if we roasted it this way instead? And that's where it's like, yes, I don't need to be here all the time.
That's right.
You are here all the time.
And you've bought in.
You should run and come up with these things. It shouldn't be all of a sudden you get the title of chef and now you care, right? It's like everyone should be the chef
Should
right
be
now
that.
anyway.
Okay, I want to talk about being a chef in my own kitchen or for somebody else being a chef in their own kitchen. What is the biggest mistake a home cook makes?
Intimidation. Like everyone's worried and scared when they cook. I feel, did I mess up the recipe? It called for 1 teaspoon. Did I mix this right? How hot should I keep the pan? I feel that I get more questions, phone calls, etc. about stuff like that than, hey, what should I make with this? Or I got this cool idea. What do you think? I think if you realize that food is taking something raw and making it cooked by putting fire on it, it's very simple. Here's a pan, get it hot. Here's the ingredients, make sure it's seasoned, and then you learn, do you want it well done or rare or, it's all timing. But if you have hot pans and sharp knives, you should pretty much be able to make whatever. But I do think that people get super scared, having to follow a recipe, worry they're going to go astray. And I think it's like cook more intuitively and just
relax.
open the fridge, see what you want, feel it,
and
do
just
it.
go
Yeah,
for it.
1,000%.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a food-related, restaurant-related, cooking-related political question. Now, some consumer groups have come out recently suggesting that gas stoves emit, I guess, fumes that are dangerous. In a couple of states, California, I think in New York, have said that going forward, people can't install gas stoves. I assume you're a devotee of gas cooktops.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, and I'm also, I would say life's broken into these 2 halves, and I'm approaching that first half being done, and you take, and the second is giving back. And I think almost more than music or food, my biggest passion is politics and history. So I hope to eventually run for office. That's my goal. So it's funny that you're bringing up What
the
you
gas
would say
stoves.
yes.
Yeah.
So my thing is, again, being to every part of this country, you understand that each one is different and has its own philosophy behind it, and also the certain concerns. If I'm in West Virginia or Kentucky, Ohio, certain places where it's, these are the jobs that we have, this is me trying to pay rent, this is the opioid addiction, this is reality. The idea that over in California, this is my Tesla because of the greenhouse gases, we feel the government now needs to tell people to change out that's when the rest of the country's like, what in the is going on? You know what I mean? Why is this somehow what we're focused on when there's inflation and everything else? So I think it's great to be idealistic and have an idea of your stove should one day be able to emit nothing. And then there's other people that are like, I have to start a fire in my backyard to cook on because I don't even have a stove, much less changing out my electric one for, you know what I mean? I don't have
Well,
running
how
water.
would you,
Like, you
okay.
drink the water in Midland?
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the flavor of
Hey,
that. But I'm
hey,
just saying.
hey.
It's like soup or broth. It
Watch
comes
yourself.
seasoned.
Watch yourself there, Chef. Okay.
That was good. Come on, it comes seasoned like soup.
All right, but you like cooking on gas. I like cooking on gas.
Gas, fire, yes.
So what would you cook, if you couldn't cook on gas, what would you cook on?
Probably an induction burner. I think it's smart, right? You can put a pan on, it gets hot, you take it off, you can like put your hand down so it conducts heat differently. But yeah, I love, I guess what you would call old school, just a flame and a cast iron pan or a skillet or a copper pot where a good cook can go back in time and realize what your great grandma was making, what someone in France was cooking with 200 years ago. And so, yeah, again, I don't like people kind of getting in the way for whatever reasons
Right.
and saying what you can and can't
Right.
do, right?
Okay, 2 more quick questions.
Yeah.
What is the most challenging thing about being in the restaurant business?
Work-life balance, for sure. But I always say this isn't, like, for all of us, whether it's, you know, front of the house, working in wine in the bar, dishwashing, it's not what you do, it's who you are. Like, you live this. I go home at 10, fall asleep at 12 or 1 and get a few texts, and then up at 8 to come back here by 10 for lunch. And in between, you're working on menu ideas, you're trying to think of, this person's leaving, this person didn't show up, how do we fix this? Where the idea of working 9 to 5 and having your kids at dinner table every night, on weekends taking them to soccer, and like, it's a completely
That's just not
other
who
planet.
you are.
Like, it's just,
That's right.
And it's not going to happen. And I'm sure there's people in New York on Wall Street that have that same work ethic in life. There's, you know, the military, like my dad moving around on a ship for 7 months at a time, not home. I feel that you're kind of destined for this
You do it for
path.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I still literally have to pinch myself. I cannot believe that, like, I can pay bills doing this because I do it for free. I get some incredible tuna flown in from Hawaii today, and I get to cut it up and cook and do raw and what, like, it's $30 a pound. That's the coolest
Yeah.
thing in the world to
What's
play with.
not to love?
Yeah, and like I said, I get paid to do it.
Well, I think you just answered my second question, which is what is the most pleasurable part of being in the restaurant business?
The creative outlet, as well as being able to have instant gratification of the dish you make, and then going and talking to guests and having them. Yeah. And that's the best thing, again, in Midland, is every table I go up to, you know, it's not just, yeah, it was good. It's, they stand up, the handshake, Jim Jones, good to see you, Ted Stevens. And we love that ribeye. It's the best thing we ever had. And it's like,
I love that.
This is why.
I love
This
that.
is why I do this.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. It's awesome
Appreciate you.
chatting.
As we always do on One Question, we end with a bit about art. This time, the paintings on display at Cowboy Prime. They are the works of Linda Blackburn, who was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1941. In 1962, she earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting from the University of Texas at Austin and met her future husband, Ed Blackburn. In 1965, she earned her Master's in Painting from the University of California at Berkeley. Best known for her paintings inspired by Western films, Blackburn has been an important voice in the Texas art scene for decades. Her work shifted over time from traditional portraiture to more abstract paintings, and most recently, painterly depictions of the West. In a 2018 review of Linda Blackburn, The Law of the Saddle, Christina Reese noted, "At times Blackburn goes so dry and thin with the paint that she essentially paints ghosts. None of the paintings are overworked or underworked. It takes years of experience to understand how to both push through and pull back on an idea, and Blackburn brings tremendous authority to these paintings." Though both artists worked independently, Linda Blackburn and her husband worked collaboratively and showed their work together on a number of occasions. Blackburn has exhibited work across the state at significant institutions, including the Contemporary Arts Museum of Houston and the Dallas Museum of Art. Her work also has been exhibited in prestigious museums beyond Texas. Linda Blackburn, a well-known and respected Fort Worth-based artist, died unexpectedly of natural causes on January 1st, 2022. Her works at Cowboy Prime are from Baker Shore Fine Art of Midland. Finally, thank you for joining us for this special edition of One Question. We will be back periodically with special interviews of interest. I'm Becky Ferguson. Good night.